What's your name?
Beckett.
How old are you, Beckett?
4.
What are you watching?
Me.
You're watching what movie are you watching? The Flash.
Flash.
Awesome. I'll see you later, buddy.
I'll see you later, buddy.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, you gonna share? What you doing, babe?
Calculating my finances.
That's that financer right here. I need a sign, yo. I need a sign. EOS M50 or the Sony A61. Now I just think about this. I'm just gonna share my thoughts real quick, man. Canon has this 4K, but it's not a real like 4K because they crop their sensor like this, not like this G85, and we're currently shooting at 4K. A6100 has 4K, but it's not unlimited shooting. It's capped at 29 minutes and 59 seconds. It means that if you shoot a lot of stuff in video specifically, which is why we're talking about this, because it's mainly going to be on video side, it will cap it in one file as 29 minutes and 59 seconds. So this is a second body, yo. I don't know if it's worth it to jump back to Canon and deal with the Digic 8 processor, and it's gonna be really nice automatic focus versus the A6100. I think both battery for those cameras are quite atrocious, especially for shooting videos. My G85 is holding up good stuff, man. I only got 3 batteries for this thing, but it's holding up pretty well. Only if Lumix fixed their stuff for focusing, we wouldn't be discussing this thing. Or what if, or let's create a podcast thing, do some podcast. I got a couple of professionals in my house, man. I got an NP, I got a nurse. I work in IT. Maybe you can bash something in podcast, get the Rode podcast or the Zoom H6. Who knows? Get some guests, call guests in the Philippines, and we talk and we discuss. We create an entire new ecosystem, man. Digital is awesome. It's awesome. Virtually anyone can start anything. So listen, man. So I got 2 cameras in my head right now for our backup camera, since we're gonna have a lot of different projects soon, and we're going out on a trip. I would like to have that nice mirrorless second backup aside from the Osmo Action, because let's face it, the image quality of this action camera is not as par as the mirrorless cameras. So 2 choices. First is the Canon EOS M50. It's ridiculous because it's that autofocus is just pop pop pop. Seen a lot of reviews, and it's getting me. The second one was the Sony A6100. Man, that focus stuff right there that they got is like AI, artificial intelligence, and it's crazy. Mind you, both of these manufacturers I have actually have experience. Actually, my first camera in DSLR realm is Canon. So I've been Canon users like forever. I got the Canon XTI, Canon XSI, Canon 40D, Canon 5D Mark 1D Mark II, and a whole slew of L lenses, 7200 2.8 IS, 1740. I got the 51.4. I got 100mm macro. I got the 85 1.8. I still remember those things, but I got rid of it because Canon got. Remember those time when Canon like, hey, everybody's going to the mirrorless realm and Canon's gonna get left behind. That's where I got rid of all of my Canon stuff. But I do have a lot of experience in Canon. When my daughter was born, that was my main rig, man. I got like Canons when she was born. I got like I forgot, is it 40D or 5D? I got 2 Canons while my wife is giving birth to my daughter. So I'm quite familiar with the color science of Canon. Now, second, Sony. Sony is my first mirrorless camera, which is the A6000, and that thing is a stud. I know what it can do. Way back when we went to Mexico in 2016, my first mirrorless camera is the A6000. That thing flies, and I still got files in it. One drawback though, since Lumix is like my main rig for like a couple of years now, Lumix is in a different league, man, because Panasonic just, if they can just correct the focusing stuff in Panasonic, man, it's gonna be a perfect one. But my G85 right now is 3 years old and have been through halfway across the world, from Palawan to Davao City to Marinduque, but there's a limiting it's just that the focusing, man. Basically, I've been shooting all my stuff, studio, vlogging. If it's not horrendous, that would be the Osmo Action. But this is the main rig right here. This is the guy that's making it happen, the G85. But I would love to have that second body to fill that void, that gap, since the 1080p on this one shoots 60 frames per second. Both 720p for Canon can shoot 120 frames per second. Now the Sony A6100 can shoot 1080p at, I would say, 120 frames per second. But then again, the Sony got that flip thing that you can view for the viewfinder. So if you vlog, you flip that thing. So basically you're gonna need some cage or so, like small rig, to put in your cameras, microphone, and all that stuff. Whereas the Canon is like this, the Lumix. Straight up, fully reticulated screen, flip it back, then there you go, you're ready to vlog. I'm in the fence. I don't know, man. I got some, good stuff happening here, but we'll see. Help me out. Canon M50, Sony A6100. I literally just buffed this headlights like 4-5 months ago, and going back is crappy, but 10 years old, I think it's time to replace this sucker. This shot's so familiar. The last time I was vlogging in a hammock, I was in Coron, Palawan, with a nice white sand beach and the turtles. We're in Baltimore, Maryland, right now. It's winter. But all seriousness though, one thing that's driving me to get another body is that slow motion in a high frame rate. I think I'm ready to get into that, without using the Osmo Action. So I think I'm ready to shoot on that 120 frames per second rate, and just put it into a gimbal. Since I got a Moza Air, I think it'll compromise that side, but we'll see. Back in the studio, man. So, little story here. Went to church, already got the stuff in the cart, but I can't decide it yet, man. I'm almost this close to getting Canon M50. So I reached out one of my trustees, my boys. Shout out Joseph. Yeah, he's a Canon guy, man, like I told you, and he relies on it. I mean, Sony guy. But one thing I can tell is that based on my limited research, the Sony has that limitations of image stabilization, which is really not good for walking around or vlogging, such as like my G85 is just phenomenal. The Canon, on the other hand, has that capability. The thing is that I'm debating about is I want to leave a dedicated camera as such in my maybe in my studio here, or maybe in the vlogging side. But the autofocus of the G85 is really not superior at all in comparison to these two cameras, even though it's 3 years old. But the 5-axis image stabilization in the body for the G85 is a true winner against these two cameras, even though this is much older. I don't know, man. I've seen some tests in A6100 that it's superior maybe in the studio if I leave it in studio. The AI focusing, if I go to the Canon side, it's basically can be my vlogging rig walking now with that extra 1.6 crop. It's wider when you're just starting. Overall, I'm gonna need to have a second body, and I know the importance now and all that stuff. And I was really in the fence as well. I'm trying to get into podcasts because I want to involve my wife, either my brothers, and have some guests calling outside the country or so, and talk about some interesting things, man. Overall, we want to make a dent in this world, or anything that we can contribute. That's the goal here. And what do you think? What do you think? M50, A6100. Help your boy out, man. We'll see. Appreciate you watching. Hopefully next time we can come up with the answer. Peace.